So I guess we're on.
We're on.
We're back on our biannual episode trend here.
Yeah, it's like every 6 months. That's
Yeah.
okay. Super professional.
Yeah. What have you been listening to?
I was telling you last night I listened to Club Kuru's new one, Before the World, like 3 or 4 days ago, and then again last night. It's just that once in a blue moon that I'm getting stoned nowadays, where I reserve it for a thing like that, and it's so nice. It's, you mentioned it was a lot more Floydian, and that's exactly how I would describe it. I remember their bio on Spotify, because they changed it recently. I was looking at it, and with this new album, apparently they changed the lineup too, which is pretty interesting. But, it really outlined, like, how they sit a lot more on the softer side of neo-psychedelia, but still very much neo-psychedelia.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as with this new album, it's leaning more into that softer side of it, where it's very gentle and tender and delicate. But it's also taking on a lot more genre, just influence, a lot more stylistically. It's really, really good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think I prefer it over Meet Your Maker. I still really like Meet Your Maker, but
Damn.
Before the World is exceptional. I really like that record.
Yeah, I might come around to that, but I fucking love Meet Your Maker. I've listened to that one like 100 times probably.
Yeah.
Even in 2021 alone, that was one of my most listened to albums. That's that's up there. It's like I've been compiling this list in my phone of albums just that are worth active listening to, and it's just like I'm kind of narrowing it down, just the top of the top, just to keep in my mind, because I've found myself so many times where I'm like thinking about getting stoned and listening to an album, and then I take a rip, and it's like I'm looking through my Spotify and I'm scrolling through 1,000 different albums.
Yeah,
exactly. I just get this choice paralysis.
I end up in the same thing a lot of the time too.
Yeah, so I'm trying to narrow it down here and kind of write down albums or like certain artists where it's like anything by this artist, like anything by Club Kuru, honestly. It's just because it's so immaculate, right?
Yeah,
it's
clean.
So freaking good. It's so clean. It's like I don't even know how to comment on this album, because it's every single aspect that is part of its makeup is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like the drum sound, just to narrow in on one thing at a time here, like I remember even back in Meet Your Maker, because the drum sound on that album is also incredible. But it's one of those things where it's often background in terms of what you're thinking of as you're listening to it. The sound of the drums in most music is not super commonly the thing that stands out to you.
Yeah.
But I remember that with Meet Your Maker, because it really nails that like 1970s muffled toms kind of dead snare sound, and it's so good, and I think that really improved even on this new record.
Absolutely, yeah.
But at the same time, it's the guitar playing is so clean. It's just very well articulated. The whole sequence of what's that one? It's like a third or fourth track, something Sunshine. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Possibly. I'm not too familiar with the track
on.
names.
I'll pull it up.
I'll
I brought my phone down here so I could reference this, but I don't exactly remember. But yeah, just tonally, the whole album is very, very well polished while retaining emotion.
Sunshine Kiss the Water.
That one. Yeah. It's like ballady, right? And it's just got so much of this, so much motion in the guitar playing, where it's kind of oscillating between these more softer plucked style going along with the vocals, and then these more movement bits where it's strumming chords and just the dynamic range, I guess, is what I'm getting at. The dynamics of how it's being played is clearly someone who has spent their 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I love that album. It's fantastic. But that's one of the top listens. Pivoting over, another one that is just a whole artist that is always active listen. Nolan Potter, The Perils of Being Trapped Inside a Head.
Crazy.
What are your thoughts on this one?
It's really good. It's definitely a progression from Music Is Dead in like the stylistic change after Nightmare Forever, going to, well, I guess just him writing on his own rather than handing off songs to the studio and the rest of the band to kind of This is definitely far more under his control, and it's it's really fucking good. It's every song on that album is just phenomenal.
I like the distinction that is made between, there's two accounts on Spotify, that's Nolan Potter and Nolan Potter's Nightmare Band.
I really hope we get another Nightmare Band record.
Yeah,
because I would love to see what the new lineup would do.
And that's exactly it, right? Is because that's why it's so interesting to me, is because on Nightmare Forever, it's both artists are credited for that one. But then Music Is Dead and Perils of Being Trapped Inside a Head,
it's just Nolan Potter.
Just Nolan Potter. But still, when he plays live,
it's Nolan Potter's Nightmare Band.
Exactly. So
it's a very cool way to go about it. And then also, I guess, like, taking from both sort of sides to play live as well, like playing those Nolan Potter only songs, but then also playing the old Nightmare Band stuff. Yeah. It's, but no, Perils is incredible. I think some of my favorite Nolan Potter songs are definitely on that record. Kevin Help Us is, it's like, he only has 3 albums, but there's like, it's like the most Nolan Potter song possible, where he goes into that like, kind of expanded melody after the chorus. That later then becomes this whole like outro sequence as well when he returns to it. It's very Nolan Potter. It's really good. Every song on that album is phenomenal.
Yeah, you can tell that he's gotten very comfortable and just well acquainted with how he writes and how he puts songs together structurally and sonically, and just that's another thing that I really feel is was always good, but has made an evolution for the better as well, as the mixing and mastering.
Yes.
I don't know if he's mastering it actually himself, but
I'm not sure. I didn't really look at the credits for the album.
Presumably he's mixing it himself because it has that kind of feel to it. And just given from interviews I've watched where it's like it's very much under his control, and that's how he wants it to be. It's every little detail, from the sound of the hi-hats being opened or closed, and the little bit of grit that has. I can only assume that some of it is to do with microphone placement and how he arranges his own space and studio. But it's just, it feels very personal to like an individual made this whole thing.
Exactly, yeah.
And it being his 3rd album, he's just, it's very well developed.
It's really good. I've listened to it a bunch. Like I was kind of mentioning yesterday, like I think I've probably listened to it at least 50 times already since it came out. It's
probably same.
There's a lot of records that have come out recently, but I think that's probably going to be my album of the year. I don't really know what else is going to top it at this point.
Yeah, it just takes the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. But also Orb.
Yeah, man, yeah. That's a bit more recent. Nolan Potter came out a couple months ago.
April. That was back in April,
Yeah. Orb was just, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago from
3 weeks ago, I think, like this end of, like right at the end of July.
Yeah. Oh, man. I've been looking forward to this for so long. Like, I remember,
it's been a long time since Space Between the Planets.
Yeah. Because that was, 2017 or 16?
2019.
19, okay. Oh, wow, I'm way
Naturality
off.
was 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting my own timeline mixed up just in my life of like where I was listening to what. But yeah. Yeah, man, that's it's been a pretty big gap, and it shows for the better. Like there's a lot of maturation within this.
Definitely. It's I really like Space Between the Planets, but there's I guess in the nicest way possible, it kind of leaned really hard into one style, whereas
Yeah.
Thailand Bend seems a lot more kind of widespread in what they're taking influence from.
Yeah.
New sounds for Orb. Definitely some new sounds,
yeah.
and they did it really good. It's the period of time between the albums is definitely warranted, because this is, in my opinion, their best album.
Yeah, I agree. And I just love to see that in general too. I mean, it's always a treat with bands that release frequently.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yep.
But it's I have a lot of respect and admiration for artists that take their time, especially when they have released some music already and they take a big gap and then put out an album that is just very different but also still very much them.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Tail and Bend is.
Yeah.
It's so Orb as it can be, but it's a pretty big jump from what their previous works were.
Yeah.
And it's just everything is stronger. Like he got a lot better at singing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything sounds better. The songwriting is just
matured.
feels,
It's matured. Yeah. Not that it wasn't on Space Between the Planets, because there's some crazy good, just kind of like almost prog doom moments in a way.
Yeah.
Like
the whole sequence of Glitch in the Sky Matrix.
Yeah.
Like,
and also Lucifer's Lament, like the whole way that song progresses, like it's exceptional songwriting. But again, leaning seemingly kind of more into one specific side of things, where this one has that maturity, but then kind of veers off into different directions that you would expect from Orb.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just taking on different styles, like you said at first there. You know, it's and in the best way possible, again, because what they were doing on Naturality and Space Between the Planets is like they found their niche within neo-psych, and it's like that's the sound. It's like they have a very distinct fuzz sound on their guitars.
Oh yeah.
And it's immediately recognizable amidst everything else in psych rock, which is insane. It's like it's so unique and it's so crucial to the sound.
Yeah.
But the expansions on that, you know, it's taking on a different approach to progressive writing than they had on Space Between the Planets.
Yeah.
It's the pacing is just different. It's a bit slower.
Yes.
In the best ways possible, because it lends to the building of the song and the letting it breathe kind of thing, and just the climaxes at the end. It's fantastic. Sound design, amazing. Yeah, love it. Love Orb. But that was what? Was that be 4 years?
5
years between the albums? Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy, yeah. Not many people do that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's, and especially in this age, you know, not to get into that side of things, but like it's so common, and it's a trap that artists of any kind fall into, where now that people are trying to I don't know if it's like retain relevancy is the right term. That's not quite it, I guess. It kind of fits, but I guess just keeping attention. You know, there's kind of this trap that people, even if you don't fall into it, it's always in your mind.
Yeah.
Where you got to be releasing stuff and have that engagement on whatever platform it is to be regularly seen. But it takes a lot of gut to just take a huge break and allow yourself that time.
I mean, I guess they also have different projects too. Like I know Zach.
Oh yeah, he does Traffic Island.
Yeah,
right?
Traffic Island. Yeah. So he had a couple albums, I think, between
Yeah.
Between the orb releases. One of their guitarists is the guitarist for the Murlocs as well.
Oh,
So he's been busy doing that.
dude, I didn't even know that. That's
yeah,
so cool.
I think Cam is his name.
Okay. There's so much overlap
Yeah.
in that
whole
region.
scene. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
I love it so much, dude.
So I guess I could kind of explain the gap.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely like two approaches you can take where you constantly release and I think both approaches work, right? Like it's like we see some bands like PPC and the obvious example Giz like release stuff all the time, like every year.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than once a year. And I mean they're putting out insanely good stuff every year.
Yeah.
I guess it's just different work ethic, and they also, I guess, have the liberty of living off of it, so they can kind of spend more time.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
But another band that took a long time, Beans.
Yeah. Oh.
It's been like 2-3 years since Come Together Now.
Yeah.
All Together Now?
Yeah,
all
I think it's
together
all
now.
together.
Yeah.
All
but-
together.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, Boots and Cats, right? That's the name of the
Boots
album.
and Cats.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the groove. It feels like the perfect amalgamation of Babel and All Together Now.
Yeah. I love it so much because honestly, Babel is one of my favorite Australian psych albums. And I really like All Together Now, but I remember when that came out, I mean, I listened to it a lot and I still like it a lot. But there was something that was missing for it from me, and it's really, I think a lot of it is to do with the organ.
Yeah.
They used a lot less organ on All Together Now.
It was more of a like layer than a like central element.
Yeah. And they brought it back a lot in Boots and Cats, but in a way that it's still not as forefront as it was in Babel, where the whole ensemble of instruments they're using to compose their songs is more balanced on Boots and Cats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Works out really well. I feel like every player is getting a chance to shine so much.
Mm-hmm. Matt has gotten a lot better at vocals too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, yeah, just the pacing of the album too is really good. It's I really like that one instrumental song. I forget what it's called, but it has that sequence where they do the pulse on the 1 and then the 2 and the 3 and the 4, and it's like bam, and there's a whole drum fill and bam bam, and there's a drum fill and bam bam bam.
Yeah,
it's like it's so cool, and they just run through this sequence where it's, oh man, it's so clean. You know, the timing is just very precise. It's
much more of a put together record, it feels like.
Yeah, very considered, very crafted. Yeah, so much new music, man. I mean, that's what happens when you only do a podcast every 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it gives us lots to talk about, though.
Yeah, it's true. I like the schedule.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. What are the standout tracks in your mind on Boots and Cats?
Haunted is an absolute standout.
Yeah, that's my favorite for sure.
The lyrical melody, and yeah, just the whole rhythm of it is perfect. I'm having trouble. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. I really like what's the name of that one song? Dreaming Daisy. I'm a big fan of. And I think the instrumental track you're thinking of is 1 to 4.
Yeah, that'd be it. I think the closing track, Casio Casino, is also instrumental, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good too. I like that one a lot. It's a bit more fun. Yeah. You know? Which is really nice as the closing track, because the whole album is very, it feels very like a labor of love kind of thing. And then Casio Casino, the final track, is just, it's a bit more whimsical, and it's kind of a jam in a way.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. But I mean, overall standout record.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Yeah, Flight B741.
Yeah, that's
Is
the
that
title.
I keep on thinking I'm getting that mixed up.
Came out yesterday.
Just yesterday, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I
It's
listen
great.
to it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I've listened to it twice now. Like I was saying, the perfect progression from Fishing for Fishies in that like
Yeah.
blues rock. Like I think
Yeah.
taking the best moments of that record
Yeah.
and making it its own record essentially and expanding on it.
Yeah, literally. And that's what it is. It's like a perfect expansion on that. You know, it's keeping that blues harmonica still as hugely a central element, but what it seems to me that they expanded on the most in terms of a blues style within how Giz does music is the guitar riffing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. Like, not that they weren't fantastic in Fishing for Fishies, because they were, but it was a lot more based on the I don't know if just the groove is the right word, because like it just, the riffing feels a lot more free on Flight B741.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it seems like they just expanded their repertoire of possible influences within blues rock.
Yeah, and also just gotten a hell of a lot better at songwriting too.
Yeah,
Like even since 2019, I mean, like their past like 4 records have been mind blowing in the writing.
Yeah,
The Silver Chord was crazy. PDA was. I cannot believe that is a record they released.
Yeah, it's monstrous.
Yeah, literally. It's. I keep going back to it too. It's so good. But yeah, no, Flight B741 is really cool. It's really cool to see them just do a straight blues rock record and not. I guess just not be afraid to just really dive into that whole side of their influences, because it's, you could say it's always been there in their music. Those like the Zeppelin and like the early blues rock bands kind of style stuff, but yeah, it's really awesome to hear them just fully do a whole record of that. Quite a few standout tracks. Mirage City being like the opening track is so good.
I really like Hog Calling Contest.
That one's awesome. Field of Vision as well is really good.
Yeah.
Really cool guitar riff.
Yeah.
The closing track, obviously, Daily Blues, is so cool. Really good guitar work there. And we got Cav's vocals.
Yeah, Cavs on vocals. That's sick. That's the first time in what, it took like 20 whatever albums they're at now.
20. That was 26? Yeah, 26.
Oh my god, that's so crazy, man. Yeah, that's and just harmonies overall, really solid on this album. It's something that I've noticed them doing a lot more in recent years. Just as they've, I remember hearing one of them talk about it in an interview or podcast somewhere, where I think it was around the time following 2020 where they were talking about getting a lot more collaborative in their writing, where prior to that, a lot of it was Stu developing most of the song and then kind of having the rest of the band fill out the parts, or kind of like fill in the holes of the parts, so to speak.
Yep.
But now that it's a lot more collaborative, it also opens up the door for a lot more vocal harmonies, which just enriches the whole experience of listening. And
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, on this album in particular, I feel like it really hit a peak point within that. Just the layering is phenomenal. It's and yeah, like you're saying, just diving fully into the blues rock that's another thing that I've really come to like with Giz in the past many years, is in the way that they've allowed themselves to not be a psychedelic rock band.
Yeah.
You know? Because for a long time they were a lot of things, but also at the core a psychedelic rock band, at least in my view.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, over the past handful of years, the more that they're getting into these genre-themed albums, if you will, they're getting away from psych in a way that works really well, even for someone like me who just loves psych rock and doesn't listen to a whole lot of other stuff, to be honest. But I mean, I think that's okay because there's a lot of psych rock. Yeah, it is really cool seeing how they're able to do that and just dive fully into something and not even and get so much out of it without genre blending all that much. Like, it's very direct, but very focused.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do next.
Mm-hmm.
I think I read somewhere that they are working on another heavy record.
Okay.
Where I think that's just like, that's the era of Giz we're in. They're just going to make a whole ton of like heavy records, and I'm all for it.
We're going to get an offshoot of something like Silver Cord or Flight B741 every once in a while, but it's like every second or third Giz album is going to be another monstrous heavy one.
Yeah.
Just crazy distortion, shifting time signatures. And I'm so for it.
Yep.
Yeah, we got their show coming up in a month and a week.
Yeah, that's coming really soon.
Yeah.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we're going to see them at the Gorge.
Yeah, Geese is opening up for them.
Geese, yeah, that's right. I've seen their name around, but I haven't listened to them yet. Have you?
Yeah, I've listened. They have a record that came out, I think it was last year, called 3D Country. It's really good.
Damn, okay.
It's really good.
How would you describe the style?
Alternative rock with like almost a tad bit of country going into them.
Okay. That's neat.
I don't even know if that's an accurate description, but I think it does them a fair amount of justice. It's really good though. It'll be I've heard their live show is really good.
Damn, okay. Have they played Desert Days before?
No, they have not.
Okay, I'm trying to think of the festival lineup that I've seen them on. And I didn't remember if it was Desert Days one of the years that I didn't go, or if it was something else, but it must be something else. Yeah, I've been seeing their name around. Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
Me too. Yep.
Yeah. Worth not going to their show here in Vancouver, because that would be cool at the Pacific Coliseum, but I remember looking at it and the tickets are like $100.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I feel like that's probably worth seeing King Gizzard for, but if we're paying $130 only for this ticket to see a marathon show,
yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer.
yeah, it's like I can skip out on the one at home here.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna be good. We've seen a lot of really good shows lately here.
Mm-hmm.
Holy Wave played recently.
Yeah.
And oh man, holy crap! Last time we saw them was in Bellingham.
2 years ago.
Yeah, in 2022. They played with
Vinyl Williams and Laguna Largo.
Yeah, that was a legendary set.
It was.
That was... Wait, was that Laguna Largo?
Yep.
I thought it was... We saw them when they opened... They played, it was them and the Groovy Nobody and Vinyl Williams.
We saw that show as well.
Laguna Largo played both times.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I don't even remember that. Shit. Dude, I want to see them again.
Yeah.
What a fantastic band. That's, I hope they're working on music, too. God damn.
Me too.
Coalescence is such a good record. But, oh, dude, I saw Groovy Nobody's playing in, I think, Seattle, like, this Monday. I forget where. I think it's at the Shakedown, actually. Yeah, it is, because I'm getting emails from them. But, yeah, if possible, that'd be sweet to attend, because I don't think they play super regularly, that band.
No.
I don't see their name come up a lot. Granted, I'm not following super closely, but I'm just kind of on a few different newsletters for venues and whatnot. But, yeah, the first time we saw them was insane. What a powerhouse.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, what a powerhouse. Like, it was also super cool when we saw the Groovy Nobody, seeing two drummers on a relatively small stage.
They were crammed up there.
Yeah, they're so cramped. Like, every time I see a band with 2 drummers, they're at a point in their band where they can get to venues that have bigger stages to accommodate that space, but it was them and, like, what, 3 others?
Yep.
Yeah, 5-piece band in this little stage at the Shakedown. And it's like... And, I mean, not that it's a bad thing, because, I mean, the Shakedown is a great venue, and it's intimate in that kind of way that it's excellent.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was insane. I was floored by that show. But, no, going back, we saw Holy Wave here at the Pearl. And, last time we saw them was in 2022, and the developments in that band in the past couple of years are astonishing.
Yeah, their live show took a huge step up.
Yeah, they released 5 of Cups between then and now, and their live show is just a lot more expansive.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much jammed on almost every one of their songs they played, like extra from what the studio version is.
Yeah, the implementation of sample pads and various instruments now to fill out the sound and you play some of the samples that are actually on the record is a huge add. It really, really just brought it to a whole other level.
Yeah, because it's like it's doing 2 things at once. It's adding layers to the whole ensemble beyond what the members of the band themselves can play, just as a limited number of people, and it's also making it more true to the studio version by adding these extra samples and sounds. And it's like relatively easy, right? Because it's just Julian, the drummer there, is just striking the pad beside him that triggers the sample, and it's like it doesn't take that much to add that extra layer, but it goes such a long way in terms of what's the word I'm looking for there? The immersion of the live show. It goes a long way to adding immersion to the experience. It's really, really good. Yeah, I was particularly blown away by when they closed their set with Western Playland.
Yeah.
And they just rode on that riff just on and on and on, and it was so good. It's just like getting everything out of it. Freaking loved it.
Some other good shows we saw the Moonlight Years before that.
Yeah.
That's a local band.
Yeah.
They have a record they put out I think last year now.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that again is like we were talking about with Club Kuru. It's on the softer side of this whole neo-psych thing. And it's just they know what they're doing and they know how to do it. It's so good. I love to see that, especially when it's a band's first album.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Moonlight Years, this is their first full length they've released, but it's so refined. It's very impressive when that happens. Like it takes a lot of bands a while to kind of find their footing, so to speak, or just experiment a little bit. And yeah, like you're saying, just with songwriting feeling matured, that's the sense that I get with the Moonlight Years album. Yeah, it's an absolute treat to listen to. The mixing is really well balanced. It's it's just a vibe.
It's a sunshine type record. You know, throw it on in the sun and go for a hike or just sit in the sun. It's perfect for that. Speaking of local bands, though, prior to that, we finally got to catch Neverplenty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was crazy.
That is a band I am very much looking forward to hearing their debut record whenever that finally releases.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably my favorite Vancouver band.
Yeah, I would probably say same.
God damn. Yeah, they opened for Frankie and the Witchfingers, right?
No, that was they opened for Hoover 3.
Hoover 3. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that was so funny because we saw Hoover 3 and there was only 3 of them.
Yeah, that's
we saw them like a year before that at Desert Days, and there was 8 on the stage.
Yeah. Completely different.
It's crazy.
But yeah, no, Never Plenty is incredible. It's you can, because the lead guy is from Dopey's Robe, you can hear
Yeah.
all of that songwriting expertise that like had developed throughout Dopey's Robe. Like if you listen to all their records, like by the time they get to Velvet Skinner,
Yeah.
everything that's going on in Never Plenty seems like the extension of that, and it's so good. Perfect garage psych.
Yeah. It's got this added refinement from Dopey's Robe, which, just to say, like, refinement in this instance is a great thing, but there's a lot of albums that I like because of their unrefinedness.
Yes. Yeah.
But in this instance, Dopey's Robe is fantastic, but Never Plenty is the way it's refined now is really, really awesome. And yeah, they've only got a couple tracks released on Spotify. I think their album is coming later this year, I think.
That's what you had said when you talked to
Yeah. When I got the T-shirt from them, I was asking them about it, but I don't remember exactly what he said in terms of when that's being released. But yeah, just with the band too, like every player is every member is fantastic. They do so well in blending different aspects of what neo-psych as a whole has been an amalgamation of.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that kind of bombastic garage riffing from like 60s psych and 70s psych, but it's also got this really well adapted 80s krautrock into it.
Yes.
And the drummer does such a fantastic job in Never Plenty. Like, I was watching him just dialed in during that show.
They all were. They were all so dialed in. It's that was blew me away.
Yeah. Huge fan of Never Plenty.
We also Hippie Flipping and Dead Ghosts.
Yeah.
We got to catch their record release show, and that was wow.
Yeah, that's one of the best shows, not only of this year, but that I've ever been to.
Yeah, that was a treat. Seeing, was it 9 people on stage for that?
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. I remember just waiting in the venue and seeing them all file in onto the stage. I'm trying to count them, like, what the hell is going on here? Because it was their album release show, so I hadn't listened to the album yet. I was so shocked. That's another one of those things, right, where it's we talk about bands taking time off and coming back with something a lot more polished and developed, and just they let it marinate, you know?
Yes.
Because they had 4 whole albums before this, and those are all good. And those are also examples of, to my mind, albums that I like in the way that they're unrefined.
Yeah. It's got this like raw and element to it that's makes you feel a little bit more connected to it in a way. Is like
yeah, totally. It's got the grit. It's just the mixing is it's well balanced, but it's not super polished. It's not super clean, and it relishes in the fact that it isn't super clean. And it's just when you can tap into that in the process of putting all the pieces together of a song or album, I think it goes a long way. And that's one of the things I've liked the most about the Dead Ghosts. And then this album came out. It's crazy. Huge evolution, still very much them. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool. I love the idea of doing how they did that, where they have 9 people for this very special once ever album release show.
Yeah, very cool to do it in your hometown too, and like just that was a treat. That was really something. And
opening for them that night, what was it, Mother Son?
Mother Son, yeah.
Holy crap. They were really good too.
Yeah.
Another local band that I had not even heard of before. or maybe I'd heard their name once or twice, but I hadn't listened to them. Holy crap, they're good.
Their
Wow.
use of 7 was unbelievable.
Yeah, they had some of the most creative uses of a 7/4 time signature that I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked I hadn't heard of them before. Like this, there's some bands like that, you know, where it's you stumble upon them one way or another, and it's like, how have I not been listening to this? This is exactly what I want to hear.
Yeah, right?
That's how I felt with Groovy Nobody. You know, is like I listened to that, I was like, Jesus Christ, where have I been not listening to this band?
Yeah.
But yeah, and Mother Son it's that same thing. It's like, damn, their live sound too. Like I don't know how long that band has been around and has been gigging, but they seem, just from having listened to them and watching the live show, they seemed very, very comfortable with it and very, how would you say, like, just really in their element. You know, like they weren't. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It was just really good. They were really in their element, I guess.
Yeah. Dialed in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like there's only so many ways I can describe a live show. I'm just trying to rerun the same set of words for everything we're talking about. But I mean, we've seen a lot of live shows recently. Probably averaging about like 1 or 2 a month.
Yeah. Yeah, because we also got to see Sugar Candy and PPC.
Oh my God, yeah. We got COVID from the mosh pit.
Worth it.
Worth it.
Worth it, yeah.
Worth it, absolutely.
That was a sweaty mosh pit. I think I remember telling you, like, at one point my hand was pressed. I got pushed into someone's back, and I, like, missed, came off of the guy's shirt. Like, that's probably the moment I got COVID right there.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was intense. That was yeah, those are the rickshaw, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic show. Fantastic show. But I last time we'd seen PPC was at Desert Days. In 2022. Pretty bummed they're not going to be there this year, but it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. I kind of expected it, to be honest.
Yeah, they've been a lot in the past handful of those lineups, so it's got to kind of rotate it out.
Yeah.
At some point. But we hadn't seen Sugar Candy Mountain before that.
And that was
That's
incredible.
That's a band I've been wanting to see for quite a while.
Definitely did not disappoint.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's another one where it's like you could just tell, you can really get the sense of how much time they've put into it and how many gigs they've done, where it's just all over the place, where they're very comfortable and they're very, everything about it is just firing off. You know, it's perfect. It's just perfect. Yeah, I got their poster.
You did.
Fantastic. Very cool.
And a record, no?
Yeah, I got Impression.
Nice.
Yeah. They have another one coming out, hey? Pretty soon, I think. They put out a handful of singles this year.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
I think. I might be having a false memory, thinking of another band or something, but I'm pretty sure Sugar Candy Mountain has. But, yeah. Again, I mean, we talk about bands just that have just found their niche carved out within neo-psych, and they know exactly what they're doing, they know how to do it, and they're doing it to the full extent, and they're getting everything out of it that they can. Yeah, it was interesting seeing them open for PPC.
Yeah, it was a very interesting polar opposite of sound.
Yeah,
like you just have this like super heady and chill psych that you kind of just like waver in the audience to and melt away to, and then you just mosh for an hour straight during PPC. But it was good. It was actually a really good pairing.
Yeah, it worked well. I would attend again, for sure.
Going back to Desert Days though specifically, that's coming up in 2 months to the day.
Yeah. Yeah, to the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it starts in 2 months.
Holy crap. Wow. We might release this episode by then.
We better. We'll release it on the day of Desert Days.
Yeah.
We'll do a timed release. That'll be the lineup is super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just got that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago.
It's
only.
got to be the latest they've ever released their lineup. It's got to be.
It is. It definitely is.
Wild. Yeah, and after waiting so long for the lineup last year, wondering when the lineup is going to come out or when we're going to get even a phase of the lineup, and then the announcement that it's just not happening.
Yeah, I kind of got worried there for a bit that the same thing was going to happen.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Definitely the undercard is the coolest part for me.
Yeah,
there's a lot of very interesting acts.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see all them witches.
Oh, I forgot they were on the bill. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the only band with witch in their name that was missing from 2019.
Yeah. Frankie is on the bill too, right?
I don't recall.
I thought they were.
Yeah, maybe check that real quick.
Let me pull it up. Let me do some investigation.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of good acts specifically for campers only.
Yeah, Frankie and the Witchfingers. Yeah, the camping stage is pretty next level because we got Manami Deutsch, White Fence, Peel Dream Magazine, Nolan Potter, Motrick.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see them.
That is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Just a crowd show.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a blast. I really like the way they've done that they're rearranged the camping situation this year. I remember after we got home from the festival in 2022 and we were buying the early bird tickets, seeing the announcement that Desert Days made in regards to the camping situation that year, because it was so fucked that year. Like, they oversold tickets, right? And then they had people flooding in, going into these just temporary... Yeah, just way out there.
I remember reading that it was like a 30-minute walk to the festival or something, which, like, I guess isn't that bad, but...
But it's still... It's in places where, since they oversold tickets... It's not even a proper campsite. Like, it's not a camping loop. There's no washrooms nearby. There's no fire pits. It's just out there, man. It's in the brush.
Yeah, that was a disaster. But I think they definitely, the way they introduced the lakeside camping was a really good decision. I'm glad we're in there. We'll be close to the camping stage, which is good. And it also seems like we're very, very close to the festival.
Yeah, I was looking at the map, and it's like...
as close as we can be to the festival.
Yeah, I remember in 2019, the first year we went, and we got the stout tent. That was like a 3-minute walk to the festival.
Yeah, we were very close. That was awesome.
The only thing with that was tripping over the
the hippie traps.
Yeah, yeah, because like hippie traps on normal tents, you can knock them with your foot, and you might trip, but you'll also just take out the tent covering.
But those are like industrial tents, and like you trip on one of those and you are face first into the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, you're eating sand if that happens.
Yeah. We were eating sand anyways during the week, but
throwback to real love.
That's amazing. Nick used to be vegan, and he had these vegan animal crackers, and when you're tripping, they're terrible. They're just terrible. They taste like compressed sand.
No. They tasted good, but it was the way they crumbled. It was the way, because they were so dry, right? It was like, I don't know what's holding them together. What kind of binding agent is in this food?
Hopes and dreams is all that's holding those cookies together. And the second you add water, it just completely falls apart. And then you're just left with a mouthful of vanilla-flavored sand.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. No, I was talking to Andrew. He said he just attended Real Love.
Oh,
It
no
just
way.
happened like a couple weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said it was really, really good. Just a nice little micro version of a festival,
Yeah.
which is so cool. I want to do more of that kind of thing, but it's just I don't know how to even find that. Like, how does that? I can't imagine it's very common for a thing like that, because it's Real Love's this festival that is hosted in Manitoba, where we used to live, and it's about an hour and 20 outside the city.
This is on some guy's property.
Yeah, it's like on a private property that they just set this whole thing up, and there's only one stage, and there's limited camping, but there's still there's a few art installations. There's still kind of camping zones designated out where there's a path cut through the tall grass and little patches of also cut grass to prop up your tent, and it's really nice. There's a couple food stands. It's a festival, but it's just very small scale, and it's really cool because it has that intimate kind of feeling. But yeah, I love the idea of that. Because it's super cheap. It's super easy.
It's like $80 when we went. Like, pretty.
Yeah, it's great, and it's like you still got a full weekend out of it.
Yeah.
You still do. And that's the thing too, is like a lot of the festival experience is still retained within that kind of microcosm of that.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of the whole festival experience is just that going into a different world is what it feels like, just for a weekend and coming out the other side. Like, that's...
Yeah. Where, like, home is not where you live. Home is your campsite. Home is your tent.
Yeah.
And you wander around, and you're kind of just within the boundaries of this property you're on, whatever festival you're at, and it's this relatively foreign area that you're not super used to the layout, but it's set up in a way that you can explore around really easily and just wander and still be within the general vicinity of the festival, and you always hear the music playing from the stage nearby.
Yeah.
It's just it's a really good setup.
It's like this pseudo-nomadicism type of thing going on.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Super cool. Yeah, and that's it. It's like festivals is obviously the music is a central element, but it's so much of that is at least to me, is just going there with your friends, just fucking having a good time, goofing off at your campsite, wandering around, getting lost for 6 hours on end, finding each other in some random place again.
In a mosh pit.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
And then you're gone for another 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I'd like to go again one year. If I am ever back in Manitoba during a year at a time when that's happening. Cool to check it out. Maybe next year. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess if you're planning on going back for like an extended period of time.
Yeah, I want to go back for like a couple weeks in the summer. I'm not sure exactly when, but
I think I might try and go back in the summer next year as well. We'll see though.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than going in the winter.
Oh yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
What other shows have we seen recently? Did we list all of them?
I think we did, yeah. We went through most of them.
Yeah, man. I'm still just shocked with the Hoover 3 show.
Yeah.
There's only 3 of them, and how full of a sound they had.
Well, they were using synths too, right? Like they were.
Yeah. They had extra layers available to them beyond what the 3 of them were able to produce. Because I mean, it's obviously just guitar, drums, bass. But yeah, I was right up at the front of the stage, watching that show, and holy crap! I mean, the drummer was putting in the work, man.
Yeah.
Holy crap, he's freakishly good. And I don't know if it's just part of the technique that he has or the cymbals he's using, but I found the drums in particular filled up a lot of sound that was missing relative to having 7 or 8 people on stage.
Yeah.
And just playing differently is the other thing too. they were playing their songs a little bit differently than they would if they had the full band.
Yeah.
And that's something that is so crazy to me because you don't see it often, you know. A band like we saw Wine Lips a couple years ago, and they had just 3 people.
Yep.
At that time, but normally they would be touring with 4 or 5, I think.
4. I think it's usually 4. I mean, now they're touring as 4.
Okay.
They're going to Desert Days too, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah, they're on the bill this year. I'm stoked to see them.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to know what stage they're gonna play at because
probably the Block. Realistically, they're a Block band.
I hope they play at the Block.
I also just remembered we actually saw Frankie back in February as well.
Yeah. Because that's that's who I thought Never Plenty opened for.
That was Heavy Trip.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Hell's House Band.
Yeah, dude. Hell's House Band. It's oh man, they were really good.
Frankie too, though. Frankie, I mean, Data Doom is just.
Yeah, I was flabbergasted that they were playing anything from that record live.
Their progression, the introduction of Nick behind the kit is, wow.
Yeah,
that band got such a like their previous records were awesome. Zam and Monsters Eating People Eating Monsters was awesome, but holy, Data Doom was just what an improvement.
Yeah,
the rhythm is naturally progressed from where they were, but also so much more complex. Dylan is getting even better at singing.
Yeah.
And just finally the introduction of different time signatures, and wow, they do it good.
Yeah.
Miles Davis is
Davis.
Miles Davis is really good at 7/4.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the way it develops that song into the 7/4 because it starts the first few minutes are in 4/4.
Yeah,
but the way they kind of tease the riff and break out into it towards the end and just use that as that climactic point that you can build on and stay on and just kind of ride on it for a while. Really getting the feel of the 7/4 out of it. It's crazy. It's a perfect riff to go over that. The guitar riff it's a perfect riff to go over that. Works so well. It kind of reminds me in the way that what is it, Sunsick by the Groovy Nobody?
Yeah.
It's the first few minutes are in 4, but then that last couple minutes they switch to the 7/4 and they kind of tease the riff, but then the riff becomes fully realized in the 7/4 time signature.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, yeah. But that band has been doing a lot more odd time signatures. Frankie, they're kind of just getting started with it.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, it feels like they're entering the whole new era, like the prime era of that band.
Yeah. The cocoon is being shed.
Yeah, exactly,
It's nuts. I mean, and just the incorporation of more synths as well.
Yep.
Which they were slowly kind of dipping their toes into in Monsters Eating People. But with this one now, it's not a focal point, but it's prominent.
Yep.
And it's also they're using synths in a very like a way that seems older, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's not in the way that a lot of modern bands use synthesizers. Both in just playing and also in the sound design. Because the sound design, it's like a lot of what's going on there, particularly in their live show, where they had limited access to using the synth, whereas, in the studio and on the album versions, you can layer things endlessly. But I remember when we were watching them live, and they would kind of just turn over and hit a few notes in the synth and, latch the arpeggio, and then just go back to the guitar and keep playing. Where you have that limited access. They're getting so much out of it in a way that's really leans into the whole theme of the album. And yeah, the sound design of it it's very basic sounding synth patches that just work really well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you go back to like the 1970s when psych bands and prog bands were first starting to experiment with synths, and you know, you can listen to that back to back with a lot of modern bands now. And the way that the synths are being used is completely different. And the way that people design their sounds on the synth is expanded tenfold relative to what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But that basic sound design on synths that was from that era is, you know, it's not bad. It's just hard to incorporate, I think. Because, you know, you're looking at just like a basic one or maybe two oscillator synth that has a limited amount of potential waveforms you can use. So you're just basically balancing like a sine wave and a sawtooth wave, and there's only so much you can do with that. And that's why I think that's a part of a lot of the sound of a lot of those prog bands from the 70s. You know, bands like Gentle Giant or even King Crimson's to a certain extent.
In their 80s kind of run, yeah.
Is like a lot of the sound design and synths particularly were not super complex.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, I mean, you know, go back to a band like Sugar Candy Mountain that we saw. Like, is like the way they're using synths is they're clearly spending a lot of time constructing the actual sound being generated from the synth based on the equipment they have, you know, how many oscillators they have, how they can program the LFOs and all this, whereas that just wasn't as much of a thing back then. Whether it was for a lack of the just equipment, whether it was lacking in the equipment and how you could program the synths, or a knowledge around the synths, because I think both of those things have evolved a lot to now.
Another band, though, that, you know, zoning in on the like simplistic synth design, Paralymph. Progression Imaginaire.
Yeah.
That came out in March or something like that. I think it was March.
I think so, yeah. Whatever it was like early this year. Yeah, crazy. I mean, yeah, I don't know, like, I wouldn't even necessarily call their synth sounds simple or basic. They don't seem to have much automation built into them. There's not much modulation going on in their synth sounds, but I do really get the sense that they're very crafted. And I'm not sure how much of that is to do with crafting the sound on the synthesizer itself, or how much of it is to do with the kind of post-production side of it, where they're EQing different things together in the mix. But whatever it is, I'm sure it's a combination of both. But it's there's definitely a lot of well-informed layering in building a particular synth sound. Like, for instance, the one in Aventure, it's this relatively simple 3/4 pattern that has the same kind of line going across on the synth, but they layer it with more instruments as well and more synths. But even the main core of that, the primary synth line, the lead doing that kind of runs throughout most of it, is, yeah, there's not any modulation noticeably to me, but it still feels like a very full and rich sound that is far from an initialized patch.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's something that's also very respectable, because it's super easy when you get a synth to look at all the modulation available and just make the most outrageous fucked up sound.
Yeah.
You know, it's like on my Ultranova, like I've got 20 different modulation slots that I can program anything into the mod wheel or the touch sensors. It's like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I can do anything I want to do basically with that, and I get an expression jack. Point being, it's easy to get lost within that. So for a band like Paralymph to understand all the options they have, but still craft something in a way that's not it never feels like any part of their songs are taking more attention than they should.
Yes.
It's really, really well laid out in terms of the actual composition and the bridging of different aspects of the song, both structurally and instrumentally. And I think a lot of that is just to do with the sound design on the synth. Just because it's simple, but it's not. Like, it's very well crafted. It's honed in. It's dialed in. But it's not taking a whole bunch of attention. It's just, it hits, and it's like, oh man, that sounds good. But it's not distracting from anything else in the song. And that's something that goes across that whole album, across their whole discography. God damn. I mean, I think on our last podcast we talked about Paralymph as well.
Yeah, because they were in my top 5 for Spotify. So
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
But yeah, since then, they released Progression Imaginaire, and that's definitely my favorite record of theirs. That's
yeah, same.
Ooh, wow.
Insane writing. Just in terms of the motifs they use as well. The way they have the intro and then a song and then an interlude and then a song and interlude, and like everything has that between them, and then it has the outro, and every time this plays through again, it's the same motif running through, and it's really cool because the way they're able to use the melody but harmonize it differently or put it to a different rhythm, even a different time signature entirely.
Yeah, we've just gotten really good at motifs.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just really brainy music.
Yeah,
it's
really
really
is.
brainy. Yeah, what time are we at, though? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we could probably wrap it up. I think we're just over an hour here, it's looking like. But man, that's fucking music that's come out recently.
Just in the past 6 months, yeah.
Yeah. And that's even like, I feel like we barely even scratched the surface on this stuff, man. This kind of just like doing bullet points.
Yeah, right.
Because there's so much that's come out. We gotta have more in-depth conversations on a lot of these artists. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, Nolan Potter especially. But anyway,
I guess that's that.
That'll be it for now. Until next time.
6 months from now.